Alrighty. This is just a video I saw that Alteori uploaded, which is very interesting. Oddly enough, the title of this video is Men Become Women for Attention. And here's a hot take. There's gonna be a diabolical hot take. Okay? Absolutely diabolical. Okay? Okay. Listen. I do believe that this is true to a degree. I do believe that this is true to a degree. Due to the fact that we have, you see, how we have essentially Reddits. Nobody likes to talk about it, but we have Reddits of men transitioning because they realize that they can't get women, so they just become essentially gay, so they can date. It is there is to a degree that is true. Also, if you like my commentary, my thoughts, please consider liking, subscribing. I appreciate every little bit of help I can get. Love you guys. Anyways, back to the video. I do believe this is to a degree true. I would even say that men become women to escape responsibility to a degree in certain situations. Absolutely. Anyways, we'll jump in. We'll see. But yep, I do think that this is happening. I do think so.
I got catcalled twice on this walk.
I do not believe you. Nah. Schizo, take your meds. I don't. If we're catcalling this, the men must be down bad.
So we're just out here lying?
It's not a compliment. It's constant. It's exhausting. And it happens to all of us.
Brother.
My brother. Sister. Whatever. No, this is not happening. This is not even happening to most women. I'm gonna be real. Maybe this is the guy talking out in me. That's the dude talking in me. Okay? I wouldn't mind being catcalled by women.
Who is us? What is he talking about? Why are you dressed like that? Seriously, I'm a little bit confused as to what the message of this video is supposed to be. Maybe it's a skit or something, but what is the message that we're supposed to be getting from this?
It's not a compliment. It's constant. It's exhausting.
I think I understand the joke. Nothing is actually happening. See, if he's saying it's constant and it's exhausting, you'd think that he I'm not really sure what you'd think that this person would be showing us examples of that. If it's constant to the point where it's exhausting, why are we not seeing any examples of it whatsoever? I think this is a skit meant to make.
This is like the I've received death threats. Can you show them? Silence. Same energy. I was catcalled. Can you prove that you were catcalled? Constantly. Like, if it's so often, if it happens so often, at one point, I take out, like, if somebody was stealing from me constantly, over and over and over, and I would lose my pockets over and over again. Eventually, I would start filming, so I catch who is doing it. Right? Bad example, maybe, but you get the idea. You'd start filming it. Weird. Can you prove that? See, the moment you make allegations, right? The moment you say something bad, right? Something, you show that there's a problem. You need to actually show that there's a problem. Because otherwise people would say you're a liar, which puts a bad spotlight on, in this case, trans people.
Fun of women, particularly the ones who are always getting annoyed that they're getting catcalled, but then when they stop getting catcalled, they get annoyed at the fact that nobody's catcalling.
That nobody's catcalling them anymore. Where are the men? Skin glistening, tits out. Where are the men? Suddenly.
Them anymore.
It's constant.
The people are just being brutal in the comments. Everyone's like, that did not happen. No, but in yellow. Is this person a transgender? I can't tell because there's a lot of people walking around claiming that they're trans. I mean, I'm not saying this person did, but they're claiming that they're trans and they really aren't trans. They're using it as a sort of fad or a means to get special treatment or just to pretend that they're part of that community to garner sympathy. There are people out there legit abusing the
there is, and nobody likes to talk about it, a large portion, not the majority, but a large portion of performative dudes who act left to get female validation. It is very funny. It is very funny. And I can tell when it is. Because when nobody's around and you have an honest conversation with these people, with these guys, then they're completely different as when they are in front of their leftist female colleagues, whatever you want to call them, friends. It's very interesting. The performative male, as they like to call it.
Label of being trans. So there is that, and there's no real way to prove it, because if someone says, hey, I identify as this, who are you to question them, right? But as you all well know, and are well aware, for those of you who don't know, I question everything. Like, if I see someone out there and they're like, bro, a freaking volcano just snapped in half and all these people disappeared. Okay, where's the proof? It's a horrible example, but you know what I mean. And it's worse when they make up a situation in which you can't prove it. Like, there's no way to prove it, so just trust me, bro.
If I snap my fingers, you forget that you're ever gay.
I love this clip. If I snap my fingers, you forget that you were ever gay.
I was never gay.
Exactly.
Wait, no, stop.
Yes.
No, stop. You can't. I was never gay.
Okay.
No, I was never gay.
Sure.
You can't just state something, then snap your fingers, and then be like, I was never gay.
If you say so.
Gaslighting 101. And then, I went down the rabbit hole of people who claim that there's something and there's no way to prove otherwise, right? Like this person I'm going to show next, who decided to label himself as trans just to, I guess...
This gotta be rage bait.
Perform some kind of social experiment.
Former Bachelorette contestant Josh Sider has admitted that his recent claims of being a transgender woman were part of a social experiment aimed at exposing what he called the gullible and delusional left. In May of this year, Sider posted an open letter coming out as a transgender woman to his 960,000 Instagram followers, where he proceeded to spend the next 5 months posting a total of 131 Instagram posts and 108 reels, often wearing trans-affirming clothing such as skirts and dresses, accompanied by painted nails, earrings, and lipstick.
But if he hadn't come out all those months later and tell everyone it was an experiment, how would we ever know? And he actually sold it. Now people are wondering whether or not he just, when you're method acting and you commit a little bit too much to the role.
Initial reactions to Sider coming out as trans were mixed. While some fans praised his bravery, he also faced relentless abuse, including death threats from both the LGBTQ+ community and conservative critics.
I really don't understand what the point of that whole experiment was in the first place. That is something that he wanted to do. I don't even know what happened as a result. What I do find interesting, though, is people did accept him, right? But I always find it interesting that people refer to men who are trans women, or, whatever. They always claim...
Diabolical hot take, fresh from the Poke Bakery. Claiming that men can be women is technically the most misogynistic thing you could ever say. Because if you say trans women are women, what is the defining characteristic of a trans woman? What must be fulfilled? What is the fulfilling condition to be a trans woman? What must be the case? That you're biological male. So you are essentially saying that a biological male can be a woman. Not only do you essentially completely annihilate everything women have built for, because when everything can be a woman, nobody's a woman. When everyone can be a woman, nobody's a woman. And that term just completely falls apart. I can be a woman. I don't have to dress like a woman. I don't have to sound like a woman. I don't have to have the physical and biological things that come with being a woman, but I'm still a woman. Nope. I refuse to acknowledge that. If you are a trans person, go ahead, do what you want. I won't interfere with what you're doing, right? Go transition, take hormones, do whatever you want, as long as you're an adult. Of course. Do what you want. I won't take away rounds, I won't interfere. But you also cannot force me to acknowledge this essentially delusion. And there's many trans people who acknowledge that they can never be women. It is not possible. It will never be. There's trans people who believe that one day they will be able to give birth. No, you won't. You don't not only lack the kitchen, the ingredients, you lack the rest. You lack essentially the universe. You lack everything. But people still think that they will eventually be able to do that, which is nonsensical, because unless we can actually engineer people's brains, that ain't happening. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. I think that's the most misogynistic thing you could say.
That they're wearing trans-affirming clothing if they want to transition to a woman by wearing dresses and skirts and nails and lipstick, as if those things fully encompass what makes a woman. Oh, I have
A woman is somebody with XX chromosomes. Simple. It's not an identity, it is what you are. Because the word, right? Let's dissect the word. Woman. Either can replace the word woman with female, and every single sentence still makes the same. The words man and woman are just replacements for male and female, because male and female sound too scientific for daily usage. And I do understand when women say, do not refer to me as a female. Because it kind of, it scientificizes, if that is even a word, women. I feel like, yeah. And the problem is, I understand when women say, yo, I don't want to be called a female. I get it. I understand. And I feel like, maybe I'm just schizoing, but I do believe this is specifically targeted as at women and not men. This whole movement, ideology, because it is much easier, because women have what I call an easier, how do you call it? Appeal to emotion fallacy. And I think women need to wake up and realize what is happening to them. That they're essentially annihilating everything that you and of course the men worked so hard for, that you could do what you want to do, and they're just jumping in and just taking it like, yo, I'm a woman now, please acknowledge that you clearly fought for me as well.
dress on. Oh, I have lipstick on, so now you will call me a woman. Like that. It's just weird how people end up falling into the very gender roles or stereotypical gender roles that they claim are damaging to society, but yet they reaffirm those gender roles when they're...
Gender roles are natural because, looking at how well it has worked for centuries, and we can tell that what we're doing right now without the gender roles does not work, because we have women running around aimlessly, not knowing what they're supposed to do with their lives. We have plenty of men just walking around aimlessly, not knowing what they're supposed to do with their lives. It is very clear we have the highest rates of unhappiness overall in both genders. And yes, genders, I will not call them sexes. It's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. It's tied together. And you could even argue that, if you want to go that far, to say that gender roles are natural. You know why? Because a lot of the things that men and women do in society are tied to their biology. When I say women are more nurturing, women take on the more nurturing role in society, that's not because they were conditioned to do so. That's because that's innate to them. That is part of their role in society, whether you like it or not. Just like men are more inclined to be protectors and providers. Now, people would love to misconstrue that and say like, oh, if men are protectors and providers, then why do they not protect and hurt people? Yes, they protect and provide for those that they care about, for the men, women, and children that they care about, for the animals that they care about, not for everyone. Y'all need to realize this.
Are trying to transition or showcase that that's what they are. Most women don't just go around feeling like a woman specifically because they wear dresses and lipstick and makeup and all that stuff. Yes, there are many women that do that, but most of them, they don't tie their identity.
Woman is not a feeling. Woman is not an identity. Woman is a condition you are born with. Woman is a condition you are born with. Female is a condition you are born with. It is a condition of the body. Not the mind. The body. You can't feel like a woman. You either are a woman or you're a man. That's it. There is no feeling. What does that even mean? Feel like a woman. What does that mean? They couldn't even describe what it means because they have no idea. I think most women can't even describe what it feels like to be, like, what woman feels like. What is that? Is it the period cramps? Is it the fact that you ovulate? Is it the physical strength, right? Is it what is that? And because they cannot answer the question, the only obvious answer is it's a condition of the body. It is what you are. A monkey cannot feel like what it is to be a monkey. Of course, they don't have the capacity to understand, but it's very obvious that there's no such thing as feeling like, because what is that?
To them wearing a dress.
He revealed in an interview on Blaze TV's Prime Time with Alex Stein earlier this week that his 5-month journey was nothing more than an elaborate hoax to highlight what he calls the delusions of woke leftist culture. Sider went on to say in his interview with Stein that I think a lot of trans women are turned on at the thought of themselves being women. Guess what?
Doesn't magically make you a woman.
So people are going ham and being like, I think you liked it. I think you actually liked it in secret, which for good reason I would understand why they would come to that conclusion, because it's a lot of dedication to the role. But one of the major hypocrisies I see among people who claim to be progressive is how quickly they condemn someone, especially someone on the opposite aisle of them, who express discomfort or opposition to homosexuality or whatever it is, right? And yes, a lot of these people are very ignorant when they express those views because it's something that they don't like, and so they're disgusted by it. And you know what? Different strokes for different folks. But there's some people out there that are legitimately like put off by it and like, okay, sure, you don't like this person, leave them alone, what have you, sure enough. But it's just very weird how they will say that these people are ignorant or bigoted, but then they simultaneously weaponize gay as some kind of pejorative insult against those same people.
Do you want to know how you can tell woke is dead? Well, not dead, but like it's in a very weak state. When the left are using gay as an insult, like as an actual, like, not as like, oh, this shit is gay, right? When something doesn't work the way you want to, right? Like you get the idea, right? But like gay as in like homosexual as an insult, I find that incredibly funny, because most people that they deem bigoted never use actually like homosexual as an insult, right? They don't use gay in the context as a like gay. You get the idea.
People or anybody who they disagree with. So how can you genuinely advocate for LGBT acceptance and work to normalize it if in the next breath or the same sentence you're using it as a slur against those same people who do the same?
Asserting his view that dressing in makeup and women's clothing does not inherently make someone a woman, arguing that the experiment was intended to make people reflect on the concept of gender identity. While some have praised the stunt, many seemingly cottoned onto the apparent hoax. Many of his fans who initially supported him during his stage transition began to grow skeptical, questioning his authenticity. This is not the first time that Sider has generated controversy. He was accused of faking his own death in August 2023 after a statement alleging that he had died was shared via his Instagram account.
So what I'm getting is you can't really tell. There's no way of knowing whether or not someone who says there's something is, you know what I'm saying? How many other people out there are performing these social experiments like the guy that we used from the first clip? There is no way of knowing. And then you have bad actors out there. Yes, I'm not saying that all trans people are perfect. I'm not saying all straight people are perfect or what have you. But there is something to be said for the very real possibility that situations occur that bad actors who know that the system in place has turned everyone into idiots who will just accept things without questioning anything will surely take advantage of, because there's no way for you to tell. And if they decide to take advantage of those loopholes, and let's decide they decide to prey on women or to prey on minors or whatnot, and you try to hold them accountable for that, they can just say, well, you're being phobic, because I am who I say I am. How do we know that? You don't. All right, then, to protect everyone else, then we'll have to ban everybody else from being here because there's no way to tell. And it's not like members.
It's simple. Woman is, and I'm going to say this as well as man, biological. You're either male or female. You're either man or woman. It's that simple. People want to come like, oh, a woman is, something you can identify as, a woman is what, you're a woman if you identify with what is considered, what is considered normal to the female sex in a certain society. Well, here's the question. So that means that if a trans woman goes to the Middle East, she's no longer a woman. She's a man. Then. Because she doesn't fit the social, she doesn't fit the social norms. Then depending on which culture you're in, you do no longer fit that description because you do no longer fit into the norms of that culture that is applied to the female sex. Doesn't work. It doesn't. It doesn't. I think that Parker dude tried to argue that, right? Doesn't work. Because depending on the culture, woman means something else. Which is the simplest solution is, and that applies to most women on the planet, XX chromosomes, you're a woman.
The community are screening people and holding them accountable because they're just such a small segment of society that you would think that the very little representation that they do have, that they would make sure they're represented properly. As frustrating as that might be. So I can't really blame society in this case when you have people out here making a fool of the community, or that's how people are perceiving them from the bad actors out there. And it sucks because...
But it's their own fault. It's their own fault. Because they, not only do they have, like, the people that just pretend, but they also have people actively in the community that make them look like a bunch of degenerate weirdos, and they're not saying anything. Right? I think Niara VT made a few rounds, like, right, kids cannot consent to puberty. You get the idea? And other crazy shit about trans kids. By the way, trans kids don't exist. Just to make that clear. Regardless. There is a loud minority in the LGBTQ community that in some places already makes the LGB want to split from the rest. And it has already. I think in Australia, they have attempts to separate the communities, right? There's also gays against groomers, right? That movement. It is very obvious what is happening. And those hooters do not come from the LGB part. They come from the rest. Everything including after the T. And there's no denial in that. Now, does that say the majority is bad and weirdos? No. No. Not at all. Okay, weirdos, sure, but bad, no. Bad people, no. There's genuinely good people there, a large portion. But it needs to be said, just like the furries had an exodus on the weirdos, the LGBTQ community must have an exodus on the weirdos. It is that simple. It is that simple. And if you continue down this path, you will lose the public support. And if you lose the public support, that's when the problems arise. It's not when an opposing political party is in power that may cause problem for your group, for a minority. It is when you lose the public support. It is when you lose the public support. The support for gay marriage has gone down. And that is because of the behavior. It's that simple.
because then what of the people who actually are that now feel as though they're shunned from the community because they don't know how to prove that? So it's either you accept absolutely everybody or you just doubt absolutely everyone. Man, it's a messed up situation. That would have just been so easy to solve if people would just act right. It's so frustrating. But on that note, I don't think it's bad to still question things. You shouldn't be afraid to question something. Having come from a religious background where it was discouraged to question things unless you were questioning it in line with what they deemed acceptable. The minute you question something down the road or challenge the belief, it was a problem. And having come from that background and having left that, I don't care what it is. Ever since I was very little, I question absolutely everything. I don't care what it is. You don't have to worship a god to be in a cult or to be in an ideology or religion. And if any cult or any ideology that you're following is telling you that challenging them, questioning them, doubting them somehow makes you a fascist or makes you a bigot or that's wrong, that is something that would immediately put up my red flags and have them waving their little butts off, because that to me tells me there's something wrong when you don't want me to question something.
I think a large portion of LGBTQ people just want to be left alone. And then there's just the internet part that makes everything worse for them. I feel like that's the truth. There's plenty of gays, lesbians, trans people who say, hold up, wait a fucking minute. You're stupid. You're retarded. And they're immediately considered like what, or even not just that, but like black people being considered Uncle Toms for saying, hold up, you're stupid. Stop. And going against what's deemed essentially going against ideologies that deem them actually as like, you must be on my side. You're gay, you must be on my side. You're trans, no you don't. No, you don't. And then they're like deemed like, oh, that's a fake gay or that's a fake trans. You're not actually trans. Doing what they which is funny, right? Doing what they consider is bigoted to that person. And I've seen it plenty of times of like trans people that I follow on Twitter who are like, yo, stop it. You're making this shit worse for us. And they're like, oh, you're fake trans. You're not trans. You get the idea.
I can't question, I can't doubt, I can't challenge, I can't counter argue, I can't disagree. No, that is unsafe. That is not a safe space for people. I'm sorry. I don't care what anyone says. That's very destructive. Without that freedom to do what every human would do, the freedom to question or doubt, you're not going to have any intellectual growth. And if your ideology is so weak and fickle that it can't tolerate doubt whatsoever, it's going to become brittle, it's going to stagnate, and it's going to become increasingly disconnected from nuance and from more people accepting it and normalizing it. Unless, of course, the reason why it's so brittle in the first place is because deep down inside you know that it can't stand on its own 2 or 4 legs, and that's why you feel defensive on it. Like people who are ultra
if you can't defend your beliefs, then they're not worth having. If you genuinely cannot defend them with reasonable, logical, not emotional, logical arguments, they're not worth having.
Religious, the minute that you challenge their worldview, they get
then you need to reevaluate.
Extremely violently defensive. And I say violently loosely, like some people, well, there have been wars in the past because of that, but some people will get like really aggressive with you and outright excommunicate you from their community so you don't infect the others with the disease of asking questions and using your intellect.
To be fair, most religious wars, not all of them, but most, at least in the Christian realm, were not even due to religious reasons. They were more so, again, resources, power, you get the idea. Just put religious in the forefront here. Now, when it comes to Arabic wars, you know, the Ottoman Empire, that's a different situation.
Outside of the information, the very limited information that they gave you that you're only allowed to get from them. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
I'm scared. Music. Cute Foxu. Cute Foxu. Anyways, yep. Interesting topic. I might not agree with everything. Maybe I do. I don't know. To be fair. Anyways, yeah, that was interesting. I agree. You should question everything. I agree. I very much agree. And I feel like if you can't disagree, then if you can't disagree with it, not even with opposing people, right? And you can say, okay, you disagree. I understand. It is what it is, right? Or if you can't take criticism, your ideology, then it's just not worth having. If you can't defend it, then something's wrong. It's that simple. It really is that simple. Anyways, thank you for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.